The first piece that I'm going to discuss is the banking concept of education by Freer. He discusses education through the learning theory. The student-teacher relationship is one that has the subject, the teacher, and the patient listening object, the students. The subject is removed from reality and can only offer words to the students who have little to no life experience to piece together what the subject is speaking about. The patient listening object receives a sit and get. Sit still as a statue and receive the information the teacher is feeding you. Often this ends with rote memorization from the students to the pleasure of the teacher. Think of students as containers to be filled by teacher input. The more completely he fills the receptacle, the better a teacher he is. Education is thought of as a deposit. It does not have to be this way. Stop. Please. Enough. Are you ready to take another path? Imagine a world in which teachers and students engage in a dialogue that is interactive. This is called problem-posing education. The students, no longer docile listeners, are now critical co-investigators in dialogues with the teacher. The teacher throws a bone to the students who chew it and spit it back at the teacher to absorb their saliva on the bone, so to speak. The goal of education may have initially been to dominate the culture and teach people to assimilate into society, but education as the practice of freedom is so much more fulfilling. In problem-posing education, people come to realize that the way they show up in society is changing constantly as society is always evolving. Banking education and problem-posing education cannot coexist in the same classroom. Again, banking education can be compared to a gardener filling all their pots with soil, careful to put the perfect amount in each container. Problem-posing education would be in line with the gardener experimenting with various soils amongst different plants, seeing how the plant reacts to the soil, and then making adjustments to their gardening practices and knowledge banks as necessary with the new input and information. It is the common belief amongst educators of the 21st century, problem-posing education is the way to go. In reading Toward a Revolutionary Feminist Pedagogy, one might wonder, what is feminist pedagogy anyway? Simply put, feminist interventions in education have been determined by historical, economic, and political contexts in which women have lived. Women in all cultures have developed resistances and identities in response to historical and social circumstances, progressive critique, and social advancements for women. It is important to note that we cannot have a revolutionary feminist pedagogy if we do not have revolutionary feminists in the classroom. Women's studies courses must do more than offer a different teaching style. We must really challenge issues of sexism and sexist oppression, both by what we teach and how we teach. From the Freer reading, we come to know that problem-posing education is where it's at. With this in mind, the goal of revolutionary feminist pedagogy is to enable all students to feel empowered in a rigorous, critical discussion rather than just a few select assertive members of the class. We must enact revolutionary feminist pedagogy in such a way that we are focused on the teacher-student relationship and the issue of control and power, and accepting that our position as teacher is a role that puts us in a position of power. We as feminist teachers have to find a way to use our power in a way that's not dominating. Otherwise, we defeat the purpose of revolutionary feminist pedagogy. Thanks. This is Kimberly Green from Team 1 in Critical Dialogues, and this is my elevator pitch. Thanks for listening.